Morning, Matthew.
Morning, Roy.
It's the Tuesday Chew on the 16th of July. Thank you. So what we're going to look at today, sort of things that's happening today, news from last week. We've got a tip of the day today. How to Succeed podcast, our latest podcast. Matthew will be telling you about that. We've got a viewer's question. I love this question. We're going to have fun with this one. 3 resources. Matthew's got a book to talk about. He's been reading again. Yep. The book boy's been reading. And naturally, talking pants.
Have you actually remembered your special gun, your fart gun this time?
Yes. After a week on a cruise ship, it's nicely charged.
They do some good food on cruise ships, don't they?
They do.
Good. Excellent.
Is that too much information?
A little bit. Shall we move on?
Let's move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's happening today? Today is the first day of Matthew's Sales Foundations Bootcamp, and that's why we're here recording nice and early at 7 o'clock in the morning. Today in the mastery class we're doing conversational sales. Looking forward to that. That's quite a powerful thing. And yesterday I actually started delivering a 12-part Sales Foundations course via webinar. All over the country. It's a company with franchisees all over the UK and Ireland. I'd love to do more, so if you know any franchisees or franchisors, we both love to talk to them. The webinar system works really well with the modules that we got within Sandler. So Matthew.
Yeah, well, talking about webinars, we've got a bunch of other online resources as well. So whilst Roy here has been off gallivanting, living his best life on cruise ships, practicing his 30-second commercial on cruise ship passengers, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little while, I've been looking through some of the wealth of Sandler resources that we have online, including some things we call Grovo micro-learning. Now, these are 5 to 10 minute long nuggets of Sandler information which you can get basically delivered to your inbox. You can sample, basic reinforcement behaviours. So if you're committed to your own personal development, this is a wealth of resource that you can get access to. So if you want to know more about that, it's a relatively inexpensive way of building your own personal development. Just comment down below with "Tell me more about micro learning." Have you got a tip of the day for us?
Oh yes,
tip of the day.
Yes, tip of the day. And sometimes, I mean, maybe not you, but sometimes we find ourselves in a beauty parade with other suppliers, and it can be very advantageous if we know how to isolate who our main competition is. So when the prospect says, we've got to go out for 3 quotes, or we're looking for 5 or 6, we're looking at 5 or 6 other people, really we're only up against one. Mm-hmm. They already know probably who they're going to go with. So what we want to do is work out who that one is so we can give them our best shot. And one of the things you might like to try and say is, look, really appreciate being involved, appreciate you inviting us in, appreciate you talking to us. If we weren't involved, if we weren't here, who do you think you'd be going with? And let's just see what they say, and then when they do tell you, say, well, why them? What is it you liked about it? Matthew, How to Succeed podcast.
The How to Succeed podcast. Well, with almost 300 episodes and almost 1 million downloads, the How to Succeed podcast from Sandler is something which is available both free and regularly on a weekly basis. I'm going to put a link down below to one of my favourite ones. This is How to Succeed at Uncovering Pain Using Disc.
That's a good one.
That is an extremely good one. It's
one
of the most popular ones that's out there. And if you haven't gone into the How to Succeed podcast library previously, that's a great one to start with.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Viewer's question.
Yeah, viewer's question. Quite appropriate based on what you were doing on the cruise ship.
Yes, it is. So I was told, I don't think a 30-second commercial can ever work for me. I've got hundreds of products. How do I get them all into 30 seconds? And I do hear that a lot. The philosophy of the 30-second commercial is not what I have. Because you've got hundreds of products, I mean, you have to talk really, really fast all the time. But 30-second commercial is all about why people buy what I have. And it's all about them, not about you. So 30-second commercial, doesn't really matter how many products or services you've got. What you have to do is isolate why people buy from you, the main reasons they buy from you, and you weave that into the 30-second commercial. Don't reel off a list of products, and also don't talk about how passionate you are and how long serving you've been in business. Nobody's interested. It's about you. They're not interested about you, they're only interested about them. Free resources. Matthew.
Yes.
I have a present.
Uh-huh.
I have a present for you.
Can I just have a look of dread and trepidation on my face, please?
Yes.
Based on your previous.
Yes. So here we go. This is something I picked up when I was in Baltimore for you.
Okay.
It's a nice little toy to put your stuff in.
Do you know what?
Look at that.
Just for once, I've got to say, you've struck gold here.
I like that.
That's like a portable office.
It's got hundreds of pockets. Look at all these pockets.
Jesus,
it's got pockets there and pockets.
It's got more pockets than a snooker table. I tell you, that's impressive.
Don't say I never buy anything that's not of any use.
For once, I've got to say thank you very much.
Very good. You're very welcome.
You've surprised me.
I do my best from time
that
to
was
time.
a pattern interrupt.
Indeed. Free resources. We have another white paper for you. As we enter the long summer months, 12 tips for staying motivated when it gets a little bit quieter out there. So summertime, traditionally a difficult time for salespeople, they say. This year, don't fall into that summer slump. We've got some great tips there, 12 great tips for staying motivated, creating your own opportunities rather than waiting for them to come to you, and keeping the income flowing during the summer shutdown. We'll be putting a link there somewhere, won't we?
I think we'll be putting it down below.
Down below.
Very
awesome.
Good.
Matthew, tell us about
review.
a book.
Book review. Right, so this week I'm talking about the Sales Coach's Playbook. The Sales Coach's Playbook is by a guy called Bill Bartlett, who I believe you know quite well.
Bill, great guy. It's a fabulous book. I've read it myself.
There you go. Well, I've not only read it, but I've also had it on the audiobook following me around in the car for the last couple of weeks. This is an extraordinarily useful book. It concentrates on one of the 4 hats of management. So the 4 hats that you wear as a manager is supervisory, coaching, mentoring and training. The coaching hat is one that you wear probably about 35% of the time. This is helping people who already know what to do, but helping them to do it better, helping them to be more efficient and more effective. It's called the Sales Coach's Playbook, but if I'm honest with you, if you're managing people, this is genuinely an extraordinarily useful thing to have in your life. It talks about how to get the best out of people and also how to be a much more effective communicator yourself when you're a manager. So I commend that to you. That is an extremely useful book.
Love that. More, better, different. I love that. And talking pants.
Talking pants.
It's time.
It is indeed.
It is time, and my fart gun is filled.
Excellent. So got a talking pants for this week. Cold calling doesn't work.
What?
Cold calling. I've heard this week from somebody telling me that cold calling's dead.
Was it social media person?
No, it was a sales director.
Oh,
I'm kidding you not. I was with a sales director and he told me that cold calling's dead.
So why isn't it?
Well, because it works. If you can find, it's the one form of selling which is absolutely 100% in your own control.
That's interesting. When you say own control, you can choose who you're going to talk to, choose the type of conversation.
Exactly.
And they define if they're a prospect or not.
Yeah, it's ethical. It's a good approach. And I have to be honest with you. You know, some of it resonates with me because I can understand why people might not like cold calling, but saying that it doesn't work is usually code for I don't want to do it. And listen, this is not unusual because when you're brought up. People tell you that it's rude to talk to strangers and dangerous to talk to strangers. They tell you that it's rude to interrupt, and they tell you that it's rude to talk about money. So then they give you a telephone and say, right, now I want you to interrupt a stranger's day and talk about money. So surprise, surprise, you don't really like doing it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. So if you can find an ethical way of doing it in a way that actually is structured and you know straight away what you're doing, there's a good system to it, that's not a bad approach.
Very nice process for it. That's awesome. So if anyone says cold calling doesn't work, what are they doing?
I'd say they were probably talking pants.
Told you it was charged.
It is fully charged.
So Roy Johnson and Matthew talking pants on the Tuesday Tube. It's goodbye from him.
And it's definitely goodbye from him as well.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.